In our fast-paced world, many of us struggle with overthinking and worry that leaves us feeling overwhelmed or stuck. In this podcast, we will have conversations and ways to reach our true potential by embracing every micro detail of our identity, especially the flaws that make us unique. This is your host, Maria Grace Wolk. I'm a Filipino-American entrepreneur, psychotherapist, and mom of 2 boys. And my mission is to amplify diverse perspectives and experiences and inspire your journey to wellness and fulfillment. Today I'm here to discuss a topic that many find really challenging, and that's finding the balance between independence and assistance when it comes to parenting. And I think we all can agree on how hard it is to be a parent, the emotional toll it takes on our mental health. It requires constant decision-making, prioritization, and guidance so we don't feel like we're messing them up. And as parents, we want our children to grow as independent individuals who can navigate through life successfully, right? But at the same time, we also want to provide them with support and assistance whenever they need it. And finding that balance, that's the hard part. I'm going to share with you 2 different stories and let me know which one you resonate with. Now, these 2 different stories I chose because they're totally on the opposite of the spectrum. I want you to remember that there's no right or wrong answers here because everyone is unique in their own ways. Our children's personalities also varies, right? What works for you may not work for the other mom or the other parent. But if you're doing something that's working for you and your child, then that's great. Then you have found your system. So keep doing what works and what keeps everybody happy within the family. And I just want to give you a quick reminder that anytime I share a story, other than my own stories, of course, names and other personal bio, demographic information have been altered for privacy and confidentiality. So the first story, I'm sitting in my office across a patient named Bree, and she's in her mid-30s. She has 2 children who are both in elementary school, and Bree is someone you can find in the classroom volunteering, helping out 2 to 3 times a week in the classroom. She's a member of the PTA, and she's someone who goes above and beyond for her kids. And in the past, as soon as she walks through my door, she's already excited to talk about the new achievements that her kids had accomplished that over the weekend, whether it's their sports, dance competitions, soccer. But this particular morning, she walks in very quietly and she sits down and she goes on to tell me, I just want my kids to succeed, and every day when they come home from school, I sit with them to help them with their homework. We figure out the answers, I go through it with them step by step, and I thought that I was doing the right thing, but lately they're becoming so easily frustrated and upset, and sometimes in tears. And when they can't figure it out, they shut down. They have become so dependent on me to help them. My daughter, Emily, has even said that she feels like she's not smart enough to do anything on her own. And then she pauses for a quick minute, and then she takes a deep breath. And there's that hesitant tone in her voice, that disappointed tone, not in her kids, but herself. And she tells me that she's beginning to wonder if she's gone too far. She adds that it just seems like her kids doesn't even try anymore. They just don't have the confidence to try. They have just gotten so used to Bree helping them out. And as she shares her concern, I can see the look in her eyes that she feels so defeated and just doesn't know what to do. And I know that her intentions was to make sure that the kids are following along. Her intentions are driven by her deep care for her children and a desire for them to succeed. Yet she had unknowingly become a crutch and became a kind of a barrier to her kids' independence. So what's happening is Bree is consistently providing solutions and answers without allowing her children to struggle, to make mistakes, and to find solutions on their own. And there's a lot of studies on this that overprotective parenting, children misses out on the valuable opportunities to develop problem-solving skills and critical thinking abilities. When parents constantly are stepping in to solve their children's problems, or shield them from challenges, they inadvertently impede the growth towards independence. And over time, this can result in children feeling incapable of completing tasks without constant assistance, hindering their ability to tackle challenges independently in the future, which then leads to a lack of self-confidence. My second story is Sadie. Sadie is in fourth grade, and she's a very smart, sweet, polite young girl. She's always excelled academically and very independent. And her mother calls me to refer her and told me that it was her teacher who had addressed her concern that her grades have been dropping and that she is often seen in the classroom looking tearful and just easily frustrated, but can't really say why, right? Because most kids don't really have the vocabulary to explain or talk about their feelings. So when I gathered a little bit more information from her mother, her mom tells me that she's has this belief that children should learn to be self-reliant and parents should allow their kids to learn on their own. And it was the way she was raised, and that's why she herself is strong and can handle hard things, and she wants that same thing for her daughter. Sadie has always been so independent and so capable, but lately she's just been so distant and withdrawn. She often sees her struggling with her homework and sometimes even in tears that she would resist from going in there to help her because she did feel that it might take away from the lesson that she's been trying to teach her kids to be able to find solution and figure things out on their own. It takes a really strong mom to see her kids struggling and refrain from helping because that's really hard. That is really hard, and sometimes that is needed. However, completely refraining from offering any assistance can also have potential drawbacks, right? Providing too much freedom without appropriate guidance can leave children feeling overwhelmed or ill-equipped to handle certain situations. Parents, knowing that they don't want to enable dependency, they try to take the hands-off approach. But this approach can create that distance between the parent and the child. It's that lack of involvement of the parent. It can make children feel like their parents are disinterested or unapproachable. So it is truly finding that right balance between independence and assistance. There's so many different reasons that we can cover regarding why a parent would choose a hands-off approach, right? I mean, everybody's different. We all have our different beliefs. We all have our different cultural influences or personal experiences or parenting philosophies. Parents who were raised in environments where they had more autonomy and independence may naturally gravitate towards a hands-off approach. Maybe the positive experiences with autonomy during their own childhood may lead them to believe in the benefits of it for their own children. The cultural norms and societal expectations can shape parenting beliefs and practices. And I do want to go a little bit deeper into the societal expectations because as a trauma therapist, there's a lot of things that our society has been telling mothers for over centuries now that are not really the best advice. For example, for centuries now, our society has been telling mothers not to pick up a crying infant, to let them cry so they can learn to soothe themselves. And I do remember being told the same exact thing. And I remember at one point I did pick up my child when my kids were babies. And I was told that I was spoiling them, or, you shouldn't do that because they're going to get used to it. But I just have never been able to do that. I do pick them up. I don't know. I think just being an empath, when babies cry, it just hits me so deeply. So I have to pick them up. And I do. I held them at night when they cried, and I have this rule for myself as a parent that when I am faced with a decision regarding my role as a mother, I would ask myself a question. Will I regret not doing this in 6 months, 2, 3, 5 years? And when the answer is yes, then I follow my heart. Because as human beings, we are born with a need for connection and nurture from our caregivers. This is how we evolved. And when a child does not receive this need, they are at a higher risk of developing insecurity and attachment issues. The emotional regulations in adulthood will most likely suffer, as well as influencing the brain development. Because you see, if we didn't receive proper care from our caregivers as a child, in order to be able to actually develop the neural connections in the brain, we need a certain amount of good bonding. And if we don't get that love and the understanding that we need at a very early stage of development, there's that insecurity that develops that is right there in our nervous system that makes us more prone to reacting with fear, anxiety. Because you see, from the moment we are born, we are placed in a culture where we grow up looking for ways to connect with others, as we are wired for this. It's our basic need. It's that human need to belong. So being entirely hands-off can lead to frustration, feelings of abandonment, and even academic struggles. So children may feel unsupported and they struggle unnecessarily, which can have a lasting effects on their self-esteem and learning experiences. The absence of positive feedback or assistance can lead to a decline in the child's motivation to learn, and constantly facing challenging tasks without any guidance might lead a child to doubt themselves, doubt their own abilities. It could harm their self-esteem and self-confidence. So it's absolutely stressful being a parent to a growing child, because we as parents, we are constantly trying to make sure we're doing our best for our kids. I know it sounds like we're doomed, but there is a way to find that balance between independence and offering assistance to our children. And I'm going to give you steps parents can take to achieve this balance. And that is, first of all, to practice self-compassion for yourself, that you will make mistakes. And it is up to us to model the behavior that we want our children to learn, and that it is okay to make mistakes and to not beat ourselves up for it, because we're also learning as parents, right? When we as parents, we demonstrate self-compassion, we teach our children the valuable lessons about resilience and self-care. And how parents can foster and model resilience is by normalizing mistakes, right? We emphasize that making mistakes is a natural part of learning and growth. And we acknowledge our own mistakes openly and without shame, demonstrating that everyone encounters challenges and setbacks from time to time, right? We are not perfect. I don't think there is a perfect parent, and we lose it sometimes. I mean, lose it as in we raise our voice sometimes when there are just those hard days. We just have hard days. Not every day is a good, and I do acknowledge that. I'm sorry I yelled. It's just I've had a hard day and I didn't mean it. It's just things today has been really overwhelming for me. And then I feel really bad. So I show myself some kindness and understanding when I make those mistakes. And instead of harsh self-criticism, I offer myself that same compassion and support that I would give to a friend in a similar situation. So practicing self-compassion is another way to model a healthy behavior. And encouraging emotional expressions, I think it creates a safe and supportive environment where a child can feel comfortable expressing their emotions and encourage this open dialogue about their experiences, their challenges and successes, and listen to them actively, to their perspectives without jumping in to solve problems immediately. So you're offering an empathetic response and validating their emotions, just helping them develop this emotional intelligence and resilience. And it starts with just listening. Just allow them to say what's on their mind without interrupting them or jumping in to try to solve it or giving your thoughts right away. Just pause and just listen and see where their mind will take you. And you might be surprised how they can navigate their own problems and find solutions themselves. Self-compassion, resilience, parents empowering children to navigate life's ups and downs with confidence, finding that balance of how to help them, when to help them, are invaluable lessons about the importance of kindness and understanding towards oneself is key to parenting. And the steps that you can take is when it comes to doing their homework, you can promote problem solving skills. I want you to encourage your child to problem solve independently, first on their own. So have them try it on their own, and when they encounter challenges or conflicts, resist the urge to immediately step in and solve the problem for them. Instead, you would guide them through the process of identifying possible solutions, weighing the pros and cons. So you're not really giving them the answers, you're trying to navigate the problem with them. And you're offering them support and encouragement as they navigate through their homework. You can encourage age-appropriate responsibility. This is really good for building their self-confidence and being able to make decisions on their own. Assigning them tasks and chores that align with your child's age and capabilities. For 7 to 13-year-olds, I think you would start with simple responsibilities such as making their bed or setting the table or feeding a pet, taking the pet for a walk. And as they grow older, gradually increase the complexity of the tasks and involve them in decision-making processes related to family activities or their own schedules. And allow your child opportunities to explore their interests, pursue hobbies, and make decisions within appropriate boundaries, of course. Encourage them to take on projects or activities that require planning, organization, and self-directions. Offer guidance and support as needed, but empower them to take ownership of their own goals and decisions. So these should provide a sense of autonomy, self-confidence in children, and it prepares them to that transition to adolescence and beyond. If you resonate at all with the stories on this podcast and you're thinking about a change in your current situation, in your career, in your relationship, or maybe even in yourself, what's holding you back from taking the first step? Find out by taking the What's Your Biggest Self-Sabotage quiz that you can find on my website at mariagracewolf.com. Until next time, stay kind and own your journey. Thank you again for your time today. If you enjoy this podcast, please be sure to hit subscribe, rate, and review. I would so appreciate it. The high rate and reviews will help others find the podcast so we can amplify, normalize, and break the mental health stigma. This podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regards to the subject matter covered. This is given with the understanding that neither the host or the guest are providing legal, mental health, or other professional information. If you need a professional, you should find one. This podcast does not substitute for personal professional services.